All right, guys. So we've been talking a lot lately about the new polls that are coming in about the Trump regime. And look, virtually everyone has been an unmitigated disaster for them. I mean, they are underwater on every single issue. I'm not sure I've ever seen that. Usually, for Republican presidents in particular, the default approval on economic issues is usually positive. Now, I don't think that's merited. I think they've been horrible on the economy for a very long time. But having said that, there was this stereotype in the minds of Americans of like, oh, a Republican is like a mean old man who's going to look after our money. And so they would always be +8, +9, or whatever on the economy. Well, Trump's massively underwater now on the economy, mostly because of the tariffs, but there's other reasons too. But now even immigration, which was another saving grace for Trump, where he would always poll above water on immigration, even that he's underwater. Now his approval overall is at 39%. I mean, we're a little over 100 days in, and you're already in the 30s, bro. That is like the house of cards is collapsing at a record pace. That's what that is. Now, having said that, what everybody needs to understand is it is an option that is on the menu for the American people to go, yeah, we fucking despise Trump, but also these Democrats ain't doing dick. And so this right here should be a massive wake-up call to Democrats that you cannot only rely on him being the worst president ever. Yes, he is going to be the worst president ever, but that is not enough to deliver you the kind of mandate and numbers that you would need to actually fix this country. So here we have a Harry Ensign segment on CNN, and this speaks for itself. Let's watch.
Who would be doing a better job as president? Guess who comes out on top? Within the margin of error, but comes out on top. This looks a lot like the election result, right? Trump 45%, 2 points ahead of Harris at 43%. 12% say they'd be doing about the same. But this is the key nugget here. It's not just about regretting that vote. It's literally saying who would be doing the better job right now. And Trump continues to score a higher percentage of the vote than Kamala Harris.
Let me just pause to point out, I think it's fair to say that these numbers are fucking insane. Like, I think if you, at this date, if you are willing to say, I think Trump and Kamala would either be about the same or that Trump would be better, I mean, you probably had a lobotomy, because I've never seen this much damage done in this short a time frame in my entire life. They are not the same. They're not even close to the same. There is zero doubt that Kamala would not have caused this much damage in this short a time frame, right? So I think the people answering this poll, I would just say they're wrong, right? Like, they're wrong. Having said that, it doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what I believe. It matters what can be done here to make it so Democrats don't continue to lose to the fascist, robber baron, war criminal, rapist, right? So let's keep going.
Despite the fact that Trump's favorable ratings aren't too hot to trot, when he's matched up against who he was matched up in 2024, he still, across the polls, scores a higher percentage than Kamala Harris does.
Even if they don't know exactly what she would have done, they still went for Donald Trump. Okay, what about when he's matched up against congressional Democrats, who we know have had some pretty rough numbers?
Yeah, they have had some pretty rough numbers. So Kamala Harris obviously doesn't hold elected office right now, but Democrats in Congress sure do. So who do you trust more on the U.S. main problems, the main problems in the United States? Well, what do we have here? It's the same exact picture, folks. It's the same exact picture. When you match Donald Trump against his actual competition, Donald Trump comes out ahead. Look at this, 40% to congressional Democrats, 32%.
To be fair, it is literally always the case. It's like a law of polling nature that Congress always polls lower than the president. Always. I mean, I remember doing stories from over a decade ago where like Congress had a lower approval rating than going to the dentist and a root canal and cockroaches. And I mean, they had like an 11%. It was some preposterous 9%, 11%. So Congress always polls lower than the president does. But having said that, I mean, it's still, given all the damage Trump has done, it's still fucking concerning, isn't it?
When you look at Donald Trump in a vacuum, it's one thing. But when you actually match him up against folks in the real world, all of a sudden his numbers look considerably better. And when you match him up against his main competition at this point, Democrats in Congress, he is more trusted on the main problems facing the United States right now.
I should also point out, I do sincerely think this is going to change quite a bit as soon as the shelves at Walmart and Target start to go empty, which is going to happen very soon. As soon as the prices skyrocket and all these people get laid off, these numbers are definitely going to move more. But still, having said that, I'm so jealous of like the FDR era. He won 4 elections, he was 4 terms, and at his peak, Democrats had 80% of the House and 80% of the Senate. That is unheard of in modern American politics. Why? because Americans often feel like they're always choosing between the lesser of two evils, right? Now, I would submit to you, one evil is way, way less than the other evil, but still, nonetheless, to a normie who doesn't follow this stuff closely and know all the details and the specifics and the policies and the records, they still go, I don't know, right? And so it's still not good despite that qualifier.
It's not even close. It's an 8-point advantage, which in this politics, well, that's a wide ocean.
It's huge and maybe tells the Democrats that their messaging is not working at this point in time. All right, speaking of the big issues, which party is better trusted when it comes to things like the economy and immigration still?
Right. Okay, so we kind of talk about it a little bit up here when we match up Donald Trump against the Democrats in Congress. But what about the parties up against each other, right? Donald Trump has not seen those favorable polls when it comes to the economy, when it comes to immigration. But look here, which party has a better plan? And this is the margin among registered voters. Look at this on immigration. The GOP crushes the Democrats. Look at that. That's a
I mean, this is just insane. Again, this is one where I'd say the people entering the poll are just fucking, it's just insane. These people are just insane. They're rounding up innocent people and sending them to a concentration camp, and they have a higher approval than the people that are not doing that? Bro, that's, at some point you just got to go, yep, y'all are pretty fascist. You know what I'm saying? But again, at the same time, I'm going to give you solutions in a second because I feel like that's the most important part.
How about on the economy, where Donald Trump's numbers have been struggling a little bit, but even there, Republicans hold a 9-point lead. If Democrats think that at this particular point, just because Donald Trump is unpopular, that they're going to run away with it like a Heisman Trophy winner, that is not necessarily the case. These numbers should be a major wake-up call for Democrats. Despite Donald Trump's unpopularity in the polls, when you actually go up against him and you put Democrats' names against him, when you put Republicans as a whole up against him, Republicans and Donald Trump do considerably better. And that is why Democrats, in fact, cannot count their chickens just yet, because those eggs have not cracked at this particular moment.
I think you said the pivotal thing, the important thing, which is Democrats are not going to be running away with anything. They have to start thinking about what their message is going forward.
That's exactly right, because at this point, the Democratic message ain't selling a thing.
All right, so what's the solution here? What's the answer? Why is it that even with Trump being the worst president in modern American history, Democrats are still struggling? Guys, this isn't fucking rocket science. This isn't rocket science. It's two parts. Number one, where the fuck is your fight? Where is it? Where's your fight? You gotta fight, man. I mean, this is basic stuff. Go out there, make arguments, explain the reality to people. Fight, fight, fight. That's one part. And the other part is what Bernie talks about all the time, which is like, what do you stand for? And if you're not building your agenda around the obvious solutions, you're fucking up. You're fucking up. So in other words, you should be out there talking about, we got to raise the minimum wage to a living wage. People are working full time and not making enough money to survive. We got to fix that. Minimum wage got to be a living wage. We need the PRO Act so everybody can join a union, get better benefits, get higher wages. You need to be out there talking about universal health care. We're the only developed country without universal health care. We need to achieve that. We need to give people paid time off so they can live a life with dignity. We need to raise taxes on the wealthy. We need to wipe out the medical debt. We need to wipe out the student loan debt. We need to give people free college so they can afford to actually have a shot at the American dream. These are basic things, bro. These are basic things. So you need to be making a full-throated argument for the opposite of this regime. You need to be arguing for social democracy at the top, freedom and social democracy at the top of your lungs. Right? There's your agenda right there. Now, on the fight front, I cannot for the life of me understand why every Democratic politician in this country doesn't sound like what we sound like on this show on a daily basis. Why are none of you talking about Trump saying he's going to steal Greenland? He says it virtually every fucking week. He's out there saying we're going to steal Greenland. He talks about stealing Panama. This is a guy who talked about owning Gaza and taking over Gaza. He's arming and funding a literal fucking genocide in front of our eyes, streamed in 4K, where kids are getting shot in the face, children are getting carpet bombed, hospitals are being bombed, schools are being bombed. They're starving Palestinians on purpose, and people are dropping dead from malnutrition. This is happening right in front of our faces, and you have fucking nothing to say about it? The guy who now owns this conflict and sends the money and sends the weapons and green lights it all. You got fucking nothing to say about any of that? You got nothing to say? Some Democrats were saying like, oh, don't take the bait on Kilmar. Don't take the bait. This is the destruction of due process and the Constitution. They rounded up an innocent man and sent him to a concentration camp. And some of the Democrats are saying, don't talk about that? Are you out of your mind? This is the Constitution. This is everything. Everything hinges on this. If due process is gone for one person in this country, it's gone for all of us. Because even, oh, I'm a citizen, it can't happen to me. How the fuck would you prove your citizenship status if you don't get to go to court? Like, What are we talking about here? So many Democrats are still acting like this is just a normal Republican regime. It is not. This is so far above and beyond anything we've ever seen. The destruction is happening at every single level. And so the reason why they're struggling is because they're not fucking in front of cameras making the argument, fighting, and then saying what our agenda is. They're not. By the way, would you look at that? Bernie Sanders consistently polls as the most liked senator in the country. Why? He's doing an anti-oligarchy tour and explaining to people exactly what Trump and Elon are doing. He's attacking them relentlessly, and he's arguing for his agenda, for our agenda, for social democracy. Gee, I wonder why he's the most liked. Could it be because he's honest, authentic, truth-telling, fighting, and he has ideas that he would like to implement and he fights for? AOC just went from Nowheresville in the 2028 polls. She surged into second place. Why? She's with Bernie on his anti-oligarchy tour. They're actually getting in front of cameras like this and fucking making the argument. So the reason why Democrats are not surging even with Trump collapsing is because what the fuck? What is Chuck Schumer doing? What is he doing? He did a video the other day where he's walking in the halls of the Senate and he's like, oh my God, can you believe the Republicans want to add a car tax now? I say hell no. Bitch, you're talking about a car tax? You're talking about a car tax. This is the most corrupt regime in American history. The amount of grifting is off the fuck. He's building some shit in Qatar right now, multi-million-dollar thing in Qatar. He's got a thing going on in Oman. He's got a crypto scam coin where he robbed from his own supporters. You got nothing to say about the corruption. You got nothing to say about the destruction of the global economy leading to a recession or more likely a depression. You got nothing to say about the constant warmongering and the shredding of the Constitution. What are you doing? They don't know what they're doing. They're weak, they're pathetic, they believe in nothing, and everything they do is this. What's the thing you think I should say in this exact moment that would maybe give me a slight edge? Throw all that out, bro. Speak from the fucking heart. Are you actually disgusted by this or are you not? And if you're not disgusted by this, get the fuck out of politics. Just get out. Because you're not... If this doesn't get to you, then you really don't give a shit. Like, you don't care. We're witnessing the destruction of our country. You should want to be in front of every fucking camera that's there. You should want to be screaming through a megaphone and saying 5-alarm fire. You should want to talk about the destruction of the Constitution and the warmongering foreign policy and destruction of the economy here at home. All this stuff, it's... So anyway, as you know, the people who are fighting are surging. Your Jasmine Crockett's, your Maxwell Frost, your AOC, your Bernie Sanders. The people who are fighting are surging. The people who are fighting are getting massive amounts of small dollar donations. They're going up in the polls. They're getting on alternative media and mainstream media, and they're building something, right? But part of the problem is the dominant wing of the party, the Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries wing of the party, the Alyssa Slotkin wing of the party, they really don't know what they believe. They really don't know. All they know is, hey, I'm a politician. I have to represent my donors, which is part of the oligarchy, by the way, the corporations and the billionaires. They know that. They know that, right? And outside of that, they're useless. That's why you see somebody like Alyssa Slotkin, who Chuck Schumer wants to be the future of the party. She voted for at least 8 of Trump's cabinet picks. She voted for the Laken Riley Act, which destroyed due process for immigrants. So if Democrats hold on to that style of politics, Alyssa Slotkin politics, Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, then yeah, the numbers are going to stay like this. But if you actually believe in something, fight the regime every step of the way, and argue for social democracy, well, then Democrats will win in a colossal fucking landslide. And, hold the country for decades and decades after the destruction that Trump is bringing. But this should absolutely be a wake-up call to them. The facts don't sell themselves, right? The argument won't make itself. You need to be out there. You need to be fighting. You need to be explaining everything they're doing, ripping it to shreds, and you need to have your own counter agenda, right? By the way, on immigration, the fact that Republicans are so much higher on immigration, think about how crazy that is. Here you have a party that has literally gone full fascist, and they're deporting innocent people, arresting a woman right after she gives birth, or kicking out 4-year-olds with cancer, right? Innocent people. and they're still polling higher, what does that mean? It means there's a vacuum of any conversation on the Democratic side about what the real solutions are, right? And that's the problem, is that you're not addressing this head on. To address it head on is to say what? You have been lied to by this scumbag fascist. Immigrants are not the problem. I know they want you to believe that. They're wrong. Trans people are not the problem. I know they want you to believe that. They're wrong. The real problem are the billionaires. The real problem are the multinational corporations and the legalized bribery in this country, the corruption, which has rigged a system against you, and now you have the world's richest man cutting pediatric cancer research and Meals on Wheels. They're the real problem. So what's our stance on immigration? I'm pro-immigration. Immigration made this country great. Some of the hardest working, best people, most family-oriented folks I know are immigrants. And they give their fucking shirt off their back to you to look after you. These are some of the best people in the country, the hardest working people, the people who actually embody the idea of the American spirit and the American dream, right? Never given a chance elsewhere. We give them a fucking chance here. We are pro-immigration. Immigration is good. Say that. Make the argument. But no, it's running and hiding and being scared and semi-agreeing with MAGA and voting for some of their shit and pretending like this time is normal. It's not normal. Any politician that comes out there and makes that argument, fights Trump, and then argues for social democracy, they will surge. But you cannot be afraid of the fight. You should want Fox News to smear you 24/7. The more they smear you, the more other people go, well, that doesn't seem quite fair. Let me listen to this person. What are they actually saying? Welcome the fight. Welcome the controversy. Jump in, man. What do you have to lose? Jesus Christ. So, again, this should be a wake-up call for Democrats. There's no doubt about it. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.